Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we are continuing with my read aloud of Twilight by Stephanie Meyer with chapter 23, The Angel. Now bear in mind, I'm going to make the discussion for this as long as I can because this chapter is the shortest chapter in the entire book. It's only 5 pages long, but there's so much detail in this chapter. It is the saddest one. It is the most beautiful. It is the most beautifully written, actually, I think, out of all the chapters, because there is so much figurative language to, like, pick apart here and pull apart that I feel that an entire conversation could be revolved just around this chapter alone, because it is amazing. And, of course, I'm going to actually pull in some parallels from Midnight Sun as well to make sure that the conversation surrounding this chapter and my thoughts on it are very, very thorough. But before we begin, I just have to make the disclaimer that I do not own any of the text being presented here, and I'm not presenting any of it as my own. This is just simply a read aloud that I am doing for entertainment purposes on this channel, and it's on fair use, and Twilight is owned by Stephanie Meyer. So we're going to continue with Twilight by Stephanie Meyer, Chapter 23, The Angel. As I drifted, I dreamed. Where I floated under the dark water, I heard the happiest sound my mind could conjure up, as beautiful, as uplifting as it was ghastly. It was another snarl, a deeper, wilder roar that rang with fury. I was brought back almost to the surface by a sharp pain slashing my upraised hand, but I couldn't find my way back far enough to open my eyes. And then I knew I was dead, because through the heavy water, I heard the sound of an angel calling my name, calling me to the only heaven I wanted. "Oh no, Bella, no!" The angel's voice cried in horror. Behind that longed-for sound was another noise, an awful tumult that my mind shied away from, a vicious bass growling, a shocking, snapping sound, and a high keening suddenly breaking off. I tried to concentrate on the angel's voice instead. "Bella, please, Bella, listen to me, please, please, Bella, please," he begged. Yes, I wanted to say anything, but I couldn't find my lips. "Carlisle!" the angel called, agony in his perfect voice. "Bella, Bella, no, oh, please, no, no." And the angel was sobbing tearless, broken sobs. The angel shouldn't weep. It was wrong. I tried to find him, to tell him everything was fine, but the water was so deep it was pressing on me and I couldn't breathe. There was a point of pressure against my head. It hurt. Then, as the pain broke through the darkness to me, other pains came, stronger pains. I cried out, gasping, breaking through the dark pool. "Bella!" the angel cried again. "She's lost some blood, but the head wound isn't deep," a calm voice informed me. "Watch out for her leg. It's broken." A howl of rage strangled on the angel's lips. I felt a sharp stab in my side. This couldn't be heaven, could it? There was too much pain for that. "Some ribs, too, I think," the methodical voice continued. But the sharp pains were fading. There was a new pain, a scalding pain in my hand that was overshadowing everything else. Someone was burning me. "Edward," I tried to tell him, but my voice was so heavy and slow, I couldn't understand myself. "Bella, you're going to be fine. Can you hear me, Bella? I love you." "Edward," I tried again. My voice was a little clearer. "Yes, I'm here. It hurts," I whimpered. "I know, Bella, I know." And then away from me, anguished. "Can't you do anything?" "My bag, please. Hold your breath, Alice. It will help," Carlisle promised. "Alice," I groaned. "She's here. She knew where to find you." "My hand hurts," I tried to tell him. "I know, Bella. Carlisle will give you something. It will stop." "My hand is burning!" I screamed, finally breaking through the last of the darkness. My eyes fluttering open. I couldn't see his face. Something dark and warm was clouding my eyes. Why couldn't they see the fire and put it out? His voice was frightened. "Bella, the fire! Someone stop the fire!" I screamed as it burned me. "Carlisle, her hand!" "He bit her," Carlisle's voice was no longer calm. It was appalled. I heard Edward catch his breath in horror. Edward, you have to do it! It was Alice's voice, close by my head. Cool fingers brushed at the wetness in my eyes. No! He bellowed. Alice! I moaned. There may be a chance. Carlisle said. What? Edward begged. See if you can suck the venom back out. The wound is fairly clean. As Carlisle spoke, I could feel more pressure on my head, something poking and pulling at my scalp. The pain of it was lost in the pain of the fire. Will that work? Alice's voice was strained. I don't know, Carlisle said, but we have to hurry. Carlisle, Edward hesitated. I don't know if I can do that. There was agony in his beautiful voice again. It's your decision, Edward. Either way, I can't help you. I have to get this bleeding stopped here if you're going to be taking blood from her hand. I writhed in the grip of the fiery torture, the movement making the pain in my leg flare sickeningly. Edward! I screamed. I realized my eyes were closed again. I opened them, desperate to find his face, and I found him. Finally, I could see his perfect face, staring at me, twisted into a mask of indecision and pain. Alice, give me something to brace her leg. Carlisle was bent over me, working on my head. Edward, you must do it now, or it will be too late. Edward's face was drawn. I watched his eyes as the doubt was suddenly replaced with a blazing determination. His jaw tightened. I felt his cool, strong fingers on my burning hand, locking it in place. Then his head bent over it, and his cold lips pressed against my skin. At first, the pain was worse. I screamed and thrashed against the cool hands that held me back. I heard Alice's voice trying to calm me. Something heavy held my leg to the floor, and Carlisle had my head locked in the vise of his stone arms. Then, slowly, my writhing calmed as my hand grew more and more numb. The fire was dulling, focusing into an ever smaller point. I felt my consciousness slipping as the pain subsided. I was afraid to fall into the black waters again, afraid I would lose him in the darkness. Edward, I tried to say, but I couldn't hear my voice. They could hear me. He's right here, Bella. Stay, Edward, stay with me. I will. His voice was strained, but somehow triumphant. I sighed contentedly. The fire was gone, the other pains dulled by a sleepiness seeping through my body. Is it all out? Carlisle asked from somewhere far away. Her blood tasted clean. Edward said quietly, I can taste the morphine. Bella? Carlisle called to me. I tried to answer. Is the fire gone? Yes, I sighed. Thank you, Edward. I love you, he answered. I know, I breathed. So tired. I heard my favorite sound in the world. Edward's quiet laugh, weak with relief. Bella? Carlisle asked again. I frowned. I wanted to sleep. What? Where is your mother? In Florida, I sighed. He tricked me, Edward. He watched our videos. The outrage in my voice was pitifully frail, but that reminded me. Alice! I tried to open my eyes. Alice, the video. He knew you, Alice. He knew where you came from. I meant to speak urgently, but my voice was feeble. I smell gasoline, I added, surprised through the haze in my brain. It's time to move her, Carlisle said. No, I want to sleep, I complained. You can sleep, sweetheart. I'll carry you, Edward soothed me, and I was in his arms, cradled against his chest, floating all the pain gone. Sleep now, Bella, were the last words I heard. So as I said, that is the shortest chapter in the entire book, but it's definitely one of the most beautifully written chapters in the entire book as a whole, and probably the best written chapter out of all of them, because as much as it is, like, Stephenie Meyer, she managed to pack in so much detail in just 5 little pages. I don't know how she did it, but she managed to do it, and she did it so well. So just the fact that Edward managed to even find the courage and the strength in him to suck the venom out of Bella's bloodstream, you know, that was just something that, like, given his own lack of self-control with his own bloodlust and, you know, the smell of her blood and just the idea of, like, tasting it is just so, you know, tempting to him that the fact that he was even able to resist drinking more from her is a miracle. And that's what I say, you know, Edward Cullen, if Twilight and Harry Potter were to ever cross over, Edward would be sorted into Gryffindor. I firmly believe that he would be sorted into Gryffindor house. And I think Rob Pattinson would agree on that because he played both a Hufflepuff and a freaking sick masochistic lion. So he would know. He would know better than anybody. He would agree. He would agree for sure. But I do have to say that this chapter, The Angel, Joel, it's pretty damn powerful when you read it because Bella describing this as like heaven to her basically, and describing Edward as like this like sad angel, just like heartbroken, like crying like broken tearless sobs over her body. You know, there's just something so beautiful and poetic about that, because she even says in New Moon that the only heaven she would ever appreciate is one where Edward is with her. And of course, you know, when she thought she was dying, she thought she was in heaven with him there with her. So, you know, there are definitely a lot of parallels there, but it's even like more gut-wrenching and horrific when you read this chapter in Edward's point of view in Midnight Sun. But in Midnight Sun, this chapter is called Blood. But there's actually quite a few parallels between Blood in Midnight Sun and chapter 22, which is called Hide and Seek. Do you remember Hide and Seek, where when Bella, you know, like, says that she didn't realize, like, there was a scream here, like, after it says, his toe nudged my broken leg and I heard a piercing scream with a shock. I realized it was mine. Yeah, in the chapter called Blood in Midnight Sun, after Carlisle says, watch out for her leg, it's broken, Edward has said that he was surprised to hear, like, a scream of rage, like a violent, like, rage-filled scream, like thinking that it was Jasper or Emmett screaming as they were like tearing James apart, but then he realized that scream was coming out of his lips and not his brother's. So there's definitely a lot of parallels where they both mirror each other in a lot of ways, which is so cool how Stephenie Meyer is able to have Edward and Bella's chapters and their points of view sort of like mirror each other in a way, because in a way their characters do kind of mirror each other in the sense they both feel so undeserving of each other, and yet when you see their different points of view from the juxtaposition between Twilight and Midnight Sun, it's not that far apart from each other at all whatsoever, because there are lots of parallels and similarities with the two of them in the sense that they both have like this sense of inferiority towards each other, because Edward, you know, he sees Bella as like this beautiful like angel that somebody from somewhere had sent to him that he feels so completely undeserving of, because he's believed that his soul is damned, that he's not deserving of somebody so like loving and selfless. And Bella, who feels so inferior and so like insignificant in this world, feels so undeserving of a being so beautiful, so perfect, like Edward Cullen in a lot of ways. And this chapter definitely does bring in some of that for that, like, most certainly. And it's just so amazing how she wrote it, like how Stephenie Meyer started it off with her saying, you know, where I floated under the dark water, I heard the happiest sound my mind could conjure up. You know, it was beautiful, it was uplifting, but it's also like horrific and ghastly. It's a snarl. It's like James basically snarling before he bites into her hand, which is up to protect her face out of like effort to defend herself in any which way that she can, because, you know, it's not enough for James to just like beat the living crap out of her. He has to bite her too, because he wanted the chance that he didn't get to have with Alice, and that he wanted to be able to have the chance to taste Alice's blood, but he didn't get that, so he got his chance with Bella in this sense. But I have to say that as short as this chapter is, it's just simply nothing short of incredible, and it really does show that Stephenie Meyer is a much better writer than people give her credit for. This chapter is testament to how amazing she is at writing scenes like this. It was just so beautiful. It was so amazing. Like I know I said that the Cullens and Port Angeles were a couple of my favorite chapters, and Carlisle as well. But this chapter right here, The Angel, chapter 23, takes the damn cake. So, yeah, absolutely. Pretty freaking amazing. So we are going to be moving on tomorrow with chapter 24, which is called An Impasse. And then we are going to wrap up. We're going to put a ribbon on it with the epilogue of this book. And then we're going to move on to Midnight Sun. Get ready for it. Let's go. We're at the end. Let's do it. All right, so if you guys happen to be brand new here, you can subscribe to the channel. And also, if you like the video, you can also be sure to subscribe. And also, sorry, my words got mixed up there. So if you happen to be brand new here, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you happen to like this video, hit that thumbs up button. And also be sure to leave comments on this reading as well down below in the comment section, and let me know your thoughts and opinions on this chapter itself and how it was written and everything, what your thoughts are on it, if it's the same as mine. So we're going to continue soon enough with chapter 24, An Impasse. So God bless, happy viewing, and have a nice day, everyone.